When news breaks, we break in. News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
KVNU News Time is 5:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by the Duck Hunter. Authorities in Salt Lake and Summit County have lifted all evacuation orders following a soaking rainstorm that washed down the Parley's Canyon fire. KUTV reports residents in Lambs Canyon, Pine Brook, Timberline, and Summit Park were let back into their homes at around 7 p.m. last evening. Most evacuees had previously been told they would remain under evacuation until Thursday night. Fire crews say the rain fell on the fire for about an hour. There were concerns that the water could trigger landslides, according to Fire Information Officer Nick Howell. The latest update from fire maps indicate the fire has burned 541 acres and is 40% contained. Howell added that infrared mapping is expected to happen, or was expected to happen this morning, to give a clearer picture of how much help the rain has provided in containing the fire. And, of course, more rain expected along the Wasatch Front tonight. The fire started this past Saturday when a car's malfunctioning catalytic converter sent sparks shooting into the dry grass along Interstate 80 just west of Parley Summit. KVNU News Time is 5:06. KVNU weather for tonight, a chance of showers and thunderstorms this evening, then a chance of rain showers and a slight chance of thunderstorms after midnight. Patchy smoke through the night. Overnight low in the upper 40s. Chance of rain showers Thursday morning, then rain showers likely and a chance of thunderstorms in the afternoon. Areas of smoke, cloudy, and a 60% chance of rain, mid-60s for the high temperature. It's been to 58. It's 55 right now at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by Polylift Concrete Raising and Piering. They will stabilize, lift, and eliminate further settling by using Magnum Piering products to save you big money down the road. Polylift Concrete Raising and Piering are the foundation lifting experts. Visit poly-lift.com to schedule your free assessment or call or text 435-999-9309. Polylift is locally owned and operated.
My friend John Hansen at the Duck Hunter has constantly educated you about the need for ductwork cleaning in your home. But what about your cabin or summer home outside the valley? You need that home's ductwork cleaned too. With high pollen counts in the mountains, dust always in the wind, and road construction ever present, the old adage of out of sight, out of mind is bad. Give the Duck Hunter a call at 770-4813 to clean out those dirty ducts in your summer home.
We are the Duck Hunter. Breathe better, save money, protect your home. We are the Duck Hunter.
KVNU News Time is 5:08. Officials have released the identities of a Logan couple and another man killed Sunday night in a small plane crash in Davis County. Tyson Peterson and his wife, Callie Edwards Peterson, were passengers in the aircraft when it went down in a remote part of the Sessions Mountains east of Bountiful. Both were 24 years old. The Davis County Sheriff's Office also identified the pilot as 28-year-old Jay Parker Christensen from Ogden. He was flying the Cessna 182 when it crashed Sunday evening around 7 o'clock. Flight track logs for the aircraft showed the plane departed from Sky Park Airport, located in Woods Cross, at 6:42 p.m. The crash was reported later by a citizen who called 911. Davis County Search and Rescue, with the help of a Department of Public Safety helicopter, were able to locate the crash early Monday morning. There were no survivors. According to Callie Peterson's Facebook page, the couple was married August 14th, 2020, and she recently graduated from USU and was a certified flight instructor for the aviation program. NTSB and FAA are investigating that crash. And a Utah teacher is no longer employed at a high school after a video of her sharing political opinions in class began circulating online. The teacher at Lehigh High School was initially placed on administrative leave after the video surfaced. District officials said today that she no longer works there. Video that appears to be surreptitiously recorded by a student in the classroom shows the teacher criticizing people who choose to not get vaccinated against COVID-19. Conservative activists who have led demonstrations against mask mandates and vaccines shared the video online. The school district said in a statement that it disavowed the teacher's comments. KVNU News Time is 5:10. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
If you're like most local residents, you have a huge influx of creepy crawlers invading your home. Right now, the nasty elm seed beetle is all over northern Utah, but there is a solution. Call Logan Extermination today for a full exterior spray. Their full exterior spray includes foundations and eaves and will kill those nasty spiders, wasps, box elder bugs, and the new nuisance elm seed beetles. And best of all, prices start at only $85. Call Logan Extermination today for details. 752-8450.
Oh, little piggy! Let me in or I'll blow this building down!
Nice try, Wolfie, but this here building's made from steel.
All right then, here goes! Gosh, that didn't work.
A building from Northern Steel Buildings will keep out the big bad wolf, and they don't break the piggy bank. Visit northernsteelbuildings.com to see their quality work or call 435-677-7300. Northern Steel Buildings. Value from concept to construction.
I've been thinking, Dad, with all of the rodeos going on, I want a horse.
A horse? One horse? How about 420 horses?
Well, where would we put all those horses?
In the garage, under the hood of a new Chevy Silverado from Hanson Motors.
Oh.
Those are the best kind of horses. Easy to drive, air conditioning, comfortable saddle.
Dad?
Yes.
I still want a horse.
This is Matt Hanson inviting you to consider Hanson Motors in Brigham City for your next car purchase.
Hanson Motors in Brigham City.
This is the weekly high school sports report for Green Canyon High School. Girls tennis defeated Weeper in the Cache Invitational. Football won a hard-fought battle versus a very good Crimson Clips team. Green Canyon's defense stole the show with 5 sacks and 2 interceptions. And Caden Stewart returned a 99-yard kickoff for a touchdown. Cross country held their green and silver meet. Dylan Chambers and Jackson Mons placed first and second. The Green Canyon High School sports report is brought to you by Advanced Heating, Aero Fasteners, Alpine Cleaning, and Cache Bridgerland Animal Hospital.
Thursday edition Clay Travis and Buck Sexton show. Joe Biden's approval numbers for the first time in his tenure drop below 50%, and there's a long run coming from there. We'll talk about it. Plus,
we've got Americans trapped behind enemy lines in Afghanistan. We'll give you updates on how many are coming home and what the Biden administration is doing to try to address this catastrophe. That and more on the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton show.
10 to 1 on News Talk KVNU, 102 FM and 610 AM.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Hour 2 of today's show, August 18th. I'm Jason Williams. Bill Walter here in the studio with me as well. And thanks again to our guests in Hour 1. It's very fun to take such a intricate look into the library and the services they provide, but also how they do it. Libraries have changed so much over the years, and it's, I wouldn't say it's gotten any easier to run an effective library, but it definitely has more options are available. But just think about, the last year and the upcoming library move and all of this. Just hats off to the director, Karen Clark, and the nicest lady, too, here in the studio.
So I'll have to listen back to the interview, but from what I understand, so they're going to tear down the old library, and how long will the demolishing of the old building take?
A couple of months, I think, is what she said. So, yeah, it's going to be, and then I think...
And then start to rebuild.
Yeah, and you're looking at probably at least, 9 months to a year on the building being up, another full year probably until they're all back to normal. It's a lengthy process, but man, it's been discussed and debated and needed in Logan for 25 plus years. That's way too long, I think, for a city to wait to do something like this. And, politics played a big part in that. Unexpected things, changes to construction costs. That was a big one a couple of times in that 25-year period that derailed things. Changes to the plan. For a while, there was talk of a countywide system, which I still think isn't a bad idea, or a more robust countywide system. Yeah. Bill, you're the weather guy. Why is it still smoky out there? Why is this rain not clearing out this smoke?
Because the smoke is from an area that did not get any rain or has gotten very little.
Pretty much.
So the wildfires are just burning at will wherever,
That's right.
California or Oregon.
Despite all this...
this rain did not come from those locations.
That's right. Despite all this, most of the state either in a yellow moderate air quality zone or orange and unhealthy, going back and forth. It will probably stay that way throughout the week, at least according to the forecast. But, that smoke is still blowing into Utah from fires along the West Coast. And according to the National Weather Service today, these patches of smoke, these storms that have come through actually trap them. Rain doesn't wash it out of the air. It does a little bit, but there's just so much of it. So if you're wondering why it's still smoky out there, that's the reason. This is the weirdest story I shouldn't say it's the weirdest story I've ever seen, but it's quite a story. We've talked about and this is nothing to celebrate, but the low water levels throughout Utah. In fact, we're now up to half of our reservoirs that have dipped below, statewide, half of our reservoirs statewide that have dipped below 55% capacity, meaning which usually doesn't happen at all, and if it does happen, doesn't happen until September-ish. So not great news there. So again, nothing to celebrate here, but this is right out of a Netflix documentary. With the low water levels at Lake Powell, falling water levels caused, we talked about this last week, many boat docks closing there, even some stranded houseboats, people that didn't get them out in time. And
that'd be a pain to have to deal with.
Well, this story just today, falling levels at Lake Powell, Salt Lake Tribune reporting, falling levels at Lake Powell through this severe drought here in Utah. First, they exposed a vehicle, a car, that was believed to be part of a crash. Police knew about this. There was a crash in 2020, and the driver was never found. How they know that this happened, I honestly have no idea, and they didn't put a lot of details out, but the driver was still in the vehicle. The remains of the victim were extracted from the vehicle. I guess this all went down on Monday, and according to the Garfield County Sheriff's Office, park rangers, sheriff's deputies, and volunteers were all a part of this. Police believe that the vehicle fell 600 feet off of a ledge near the Height Marina, and the person driving went missing in September of 2020. So the crash remains under investigation. As of yet, they don't believe that there's anything nefarious about this. They all indications so far are that this was an accident. But a missing person has been found, still at the wheel of their vehicle, underwater until this year at Lake Powell. And so that was now the backstory on this is kind of interesting too. The way this was, so obviously water levels, and you can see this in the photos if you'd like to see them. I've linked to the story on our Facebook page. But so water levels got down enough that you could see the wheels of this. Looks to be kind of an SUV sized vehicle, a larger size SUV. And as the water levels dipped, you could see the wheels. And I guess people had been seeing this for a while now. Then as water levels came down even more, they decided that it was safe to go down and remove the vehicle. And that's when some of the volunteers and off-duty firefighters that had volunteered mainly, and on-duty firefighters and rescue crews, they went down just to move this vehicle, just to pull it out so it wouldn't be sitting there polluting the lake in the future. And as they rolled the vehicle over, that's when they noticed the body still in the driver's seat. And again, this is a person that has been, no identity has been released by the Garfield County Sheriff's Office, but they did confirm that this is a person that has been missing since September of 2020. How, though, this happened exactly, they're not sure. Again, they believe it was an accident. The vehicle left the roadway, but because of the area, the Haight Marina area, it would be, there are some questions, put it that way. The Salt Lake Tribune story details that they did launch a full investigation into this. And again, the details are a bit murky, but it sounds to me like there's some questions as to how anyone could legitimately, accidentally go off the road where the vehicle would have to have gone off the road. Near the Haight Marina. So trying to determine whether this was maybe an intentional act or whether someone was hiding something more nefarious. But again, the Garfield County Sheriff's Office said so far everything points to this being a tragic accident, and the family of this missing person has not put out a statement yet, but the Garfield County Sheriff's deputy told TV news station in Salt Lake City that they were saddened by the news but happy to have closure, and that the family would be waiting until the investigation is finished by the sheriff's office before issuing a full statement. So just a weird story out of southern Utah. Again, falling levels at Lake Powell had this vehicle exposed for weeks now. Many people seeing it and commenting on it. It was actually something I'd first noticed photos being shared on social media, and then as water levels continued to dip, they decided to pull the vehicle out, discovered a body in the driver's seat of this crashed SUV, again, believed to be a person missing since September of 2020. Some of the photos and more of the story available in the Salt Lake Tribune story. I've linked to that on our Facebook page, and we'll be back with more of For the People right after this.
This is Jay from Daryl's Appliance. We love to give back to the community. From August 16th to August 28th, we will donate a portion of our sales to the Family Place of Cache Valley. One of the ways you can help us is to come look at the new Harvest Right freeze dryers we have in stock. These freeze dryers will save you money by reducing waste. That's at Daryl's, where service always comes first. Daryl's West on Airport Road. Listen for a live radio broadcast Saturdays.
See Daryl's Appliance in beautiful downtown Benson.
It's back to school time. You're getting the clothes and the supplies, but don't forget the haircut. The students at New Horizons Beauty College are trained in all the latest trends and techniques. Plus, New Horizons has great prices on the products to help you maintain that new look, like Redken, Matrix, Biolage, and Bricado. All services performed by students and closely supervised by licensed instructors. Oh, hey, they're also enrolling for fall classes right now. Create your own individuality at New Horizons Beauty College in Logan.
Senior Moments, sponsored by the Empowering Seniors Group on News Talk KVNU.
My name is Bruce Lee. I'm here with my co-host Sid Roeder. We're here for another fun show.
This radio show is sponsored by the Empowering Seniors Group, which is a group of professionals that has dedicated their time and efforts to provide information that is hopefully useful to seniors, their family members, caretakers, and really anybody who's interested.
Senior Moments, every Saturday morning at 7:30, right here on News Talk KVNU.
Welcome back to KVN News For the People. I mentioned it briefly yesterday, but if you'd like to see it for yourself, the full census data that was presented at the first official meeting of the Legislative Redistricting Committee is available. They've made that link online. It's public data. It was just a matter of actually getting it up there. for people to be able to see. It's raw data, which means it can look a lot like just a big pile of nothing. So I wouldn't recommend downloading it. It's also a large file. But if you're good at data manipulation, if you've had experience with that type of thing, or if you want to learn, it's not too hard. It's kind of hard. It's not very hard. There's software that will do a lot of it for you now. That raw data is available. Some of the highlights so far, interesting to see what areas, and this is really, drilled down with a microscope kind of level of data. But it's interesting to me to see, for example, yesterday we talked about the discussion during this legislative committee meeting on Capitol Hill yesterday in Salt Lake. They were focused on counties. They talked about, what the data said about which counties had grown and not grown. But you can also go down to the city level. So within a county, you can see which cities have grown the fastest, or even which cities have shrunk just a little bit. And also you can go the opposite direction, because this data was released by the Census Bureau for the nation. So a couple of things that stood out from this data as I picked through, and I'll be honest with you, I picked through others who had already done the work of crunching the raw data into something, either a visualization or something more useful. So some things. One is a giant myth we can bust right now. Well, there's two myths, and they're persistent myths. But one we can bust right now, no, California is not seeing a big exodus. In fact, California's population grew by a couple 100,000 in the last year. But second myth we can bust here, it would appear that even those who did leave California, this is another myth I hear a lot, they're not coming to Utah. The census data reveals that
they're all moving to Boise.
Well, they're headed straight north. And I don't have an explanation for this, but those who did leave California, the majority of them relocated in just the northern part of the Pacific Northwest. Utah did not see a huge number or any number that basically stood out from censuses that have been done throughout the last 10 years or the last 10 years that the full census was done. Utah has not seen a consistent migration from out of state from any particular state. What we have seen, though, is upticks and downticks in that migration. We're currently in a downtick, surprisingly. I would think that with everything going on in the world that you would see maybe understandably less migration, or less people willing to move. 2020 was probably a difficult year to move. Also in 2020, I would guess a lot of people didn't want to change jobs, or were maybe looking less for a new job, things like that, which is a big reason people move, especially from state to state. But even the previous years, which the census data covers, there just wasn't a lot of consistent, from any one particular area, movement around the United States. What the census data does reveal, as far as migration goes, is movement within the state was actually up quite a bit. The people who moved from city to city in almost every state in the West, California, Oregon, Idaho, Utah, Wyoming, Montana, Colorado, and Arizona, and also a little bit into the Midwest, for whatever reason, and I don't have an explanation for this, but for whatever reason, those areas saw an increased amount in the last few years specifically, an increased amount of movement from city to city within there. And I can make some guesses. I would maybe guess growth and traffic, things like that might have something to do with it. Housing prices probably have something to do with it too. Some people, depending on how you look at it, it's a good market or it's a bad market. Definitely a good time to sell. Not a great time to buy. Also not a great time to build due to, the inflated construction costs there for over the last year. So, but yet all of that was still happening. And so some examples, Weber County this is a weird one. because again, this there has to be a reason, but it doesn't really make sense on the surface. But the number of people who moved from North Ogden, which is basically a small developing city, to Plain City, which is right next door, just a little bit to the west of North Ogden, that was one of the standouts in the state of people moving from city to city. For some reason, a lot of people left North Ogden for Plain City. Now, this could be the fact that they've built miles of new subdivisions in Plain City, and maybe those were appealing. Maybe the prices were good. I don't know. Maybe there's something in North Ogden that people were fed up with. I have no idea. It could be any of these things.
Could have been North Ogden was getting too big.
That's right.
For a lot of people, they wanted to. They moved out there to get away from it all, and now they have to move even farther to get away from it all.
That's where my mind started to go with this. I wonder if a lot. Now, there's one set of data that kind of flies in the face of this theory, and I'll just throw that out right now. Salt Lake also saw growth. Salt Lake saw a lot of migration from Davis County and Utah County, more so in the last 5 years than in the previous 5, at least. And so an uptick over a 5-year period in migration to Salt Lake County and Salt Lake City from nearby areas, which kind of says people aren't moving to get away from traffic and away from, crowded areas. But the rest of the state, the data kind of, to me, says that. Here in Cache Valley, things were pretty flatlined. The migration from city to city was, almost equal across the board. No city saw a huge uptick in population due to people moving from another city or moving from another county. But there was a huge uptick in population in general. So what you can extrapolate from that is people, as the projections claim will happen, this data backs it up, that is people being born here and staying here. People maybe going away from school for a little while or not, going to USU and then building a home or buying a home and raising their family here. That's where the majority of growth, by far, the majority of growth in Cache Valley came from. Interestingly enough, though, Cache Valley did see an uptick, even though it's still by far a minority of our growing population here in Cache Valley. There was a bit of an uptick in Cache Valley, specifically in migration from out of state. So again, even though it's a myth that people are leaving California like crazy, the numbers don't back that up. Also a myth that they're leaving California coming to Utah, numbers don't back that up. Cache Valley and one other county, Carbon County. These are the only two areas in the state. I'm sorry, Grand County. Double checking. Yes, Cache County and Grand County were the only two areas in the state that saw an increase in a significant increase in people moving into the area from out of state. And again, this could all mean absolutely nothing, but it's interesting at least to take a look at. I posted a link to some of the visualizations as people are continuing to process this gigantic data dump from the U.S. Census Bureau that was officially made public this week. And again, this will play out in both the redistricting process here in Utah, but also I think gives cities and counties an opportunity to kind of look at what's happening around them, what's happening within the borders of decision makers' own cities, and why. A lot of guessing will have to be done here because the questions on the census don't get that specific. Although I think they maybe should ask one. If you moved, why? I'd love to see that, but they don't. So, but you can extrapolate some from this. And so again, Cache County and Grand County, the only counties in Utah to see an uptick in people moving here from out of state. Not a big uptick, but some over the last 5 years. Check it out. I've linked to it on our Facebook page, and we'll be back with more of For the People after these headlines with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 5:34, and the news is brought to you by Cache Valley Pharmacy. Citing her experience and success bringing people together to solve problems, Representative Becky Edwards announced this past May that she will challenge U.S. Senator Mike Lee in the Utah Republican primary. The race is beginning early, as it will not play out until the spring of 2022. As a member of the Utah House of Representatives for 10 years, Edwards became known as the education lawmaker.
It was always an issue that was important to me. It was one of the things that really got me involved in the public service career to begin with, both volunteering in local schools, at being a PTA president. I mean, a lot of those things just brought education forefront of my mind.
On KVNU's For the People program on Tuesday, Edwards said as she travels around the state with the U.S. Senate race, she finds similar concerns as she did while serving in the legislature before, such as education, health care, air quality, and affordable housing. She invites residents of northern Utah to meet her tonight as she brings what she calls her Yellow Couch Tour to Tremonton's Meadow Park at 6:30 p.m. You can find out more about her campaign at beckyforutah.com. Utah Governor Spencer Cox has sent a letter to President Biden about the situation in Afghanistan, offering assistance and offered Utah as a place to settle refugees. The Afghani government fell to the Taliban within days of the U.S. announcement that troops would leave the country. Thousands of people have tried to flee the country, fearing the Taliban's interpretation of Sharia law and the history with women's rights that could lead to a return to brutal rule. Disturbing images shown around the world showed Afghani citizens storming the Kabul airport, pushing to get onto departing planes and clinging to a U.S. Air Force C-17 transport plane as it took off on Monday. The governor wrote that he was deeply saddened by the human tragedy currently unfolding in Afghanistan. He offered the Beehive State as a place where individuals and families could resettle. Governor Cox noted the plight of early pioneers and their journey to the Rocky Mountains and Great Basin. Details about any part of a refugee relocation effort or any part of the Beehive State or any parts of the Beehive State might play have not been determined. And Salt Lake City police homicide detectives have made an arrest in the shooting death of a 31-year-old woman who was killed on the city's west side Tuesday morning. Police told KUTV that 31-year-old Patrice Windward was booked into jail on charges of murder, obstruction of justice, and possession of a dangerous weapon by a restricted person. Investigators did not identify the victim, but say the death appears to be an act of domestic violence. Police received a report of shots fired around 3:30 a.m. Responding officers located the victim with multiple gunshot wounds. Despite life-saving efforts, she passed away. KVNU News Time is 5:38.
This is Phil with Cache Valley Pharmacy. We love being in Cache Valley and want to thank you for your support. Cache Valley Pharmacy features the best prices in the valley, and as always, free delivery. If you're in the market for prescriptions, check first with Cache Valley Pharmacy for the absolute best prices, especially on compounds and insulin. We've been doing pharmacy better than anyone else in the valley with free delivery valley-wide for the last 19 years. Cache Valley Pharmacy, the pharmacy delivery experts. Order your prescriptions online at cachevalleypharmacy.com.
KVNU weather for tonight, mostly cloudy, chance of showers and thunderstorms this evening, then a chance of rain showers, slight chance of thunderstorms after midnight, patchy smoke through the night, overnight low in the upper 40s, and then a 60% chance of showers and a chance of a thunderstorm tomorrow, mid-60s for the high. It's been to 58. It is 55 right now at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by Maple Creek Ranch. Equestrian communities are designed for all different lifestyles. 2.5-acre lots are available now, so schedule your appointment today at maplecreekranch.net. That's maplecreekranch.net. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
All right, Taylor, you got your cowboy hat?
Check.
Horse?
Already saddled.
Horse trailer?
Of
Of course!
What about your boots?
Still got my pink ones.
What about trucks, Taylor? I'm not seeing very many trucks on our lot at West Motor. I don't want to hear back-ordered, postponed, out-of-stock, microchip shortage, or any of that crap. I want to hear something positive.
I can do that. Hold on to your bootstraps, because it's time for the famous West Motor Rodeo Day sale.
It's no secret that inventory is limited, but the quickest and best way to get your new Ram truck is to have one built especially for you. Get the features you want, the equipment you need, and the right color without paying for anything that you don't want. We'll throw in some big discounts, and Ram will build that truck just the way you like it.
That's what we do around here. We find solutions.
Simply come into West Motor Company in Preston, and we'll get your new Ram truck ordered and send you home with a couple of our famous West Motor Rodeo jackets.
West Motor, how the West was won. WestMotorCompany.com.
Attention homeowners! You may have noticed the ground shift after your foundation has been poured, causing your house to sink or settle. Protect your investment from issues before they happen. Polylift Concrete Raising and Piering will stabilize, lift, and eliminate further settling by using Magnum Piering products to save you big money down the road. Polylift Concrete Raising and Piering are the foundation lifting experts. Visit poly-lift.com to schedule your free assessment or call or text 435-999-9309. Polylift is locally owned and operated.
Pristine wilderness can still be found in the West, where creeks run freely and historic apple trees still bear fruit. Maple Creek Ranch features breathtaking canyon views and opportunities for real estate development. 2.5-acre lots are now available with adjacent wilderness areas that provide endless riding and recreational possibilities. So find your piece of paradise just 35 minutes from Logan at Maple Creek Ranch. Schedule your appointment online at maplecreekranch.net.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Thursday on This Morning, America's First News. It's a struggle right now for President Biden to find fellow Democrats supporting how he's handled the Afghanistan withdrawal. Here are some of their careful comments. Also, as cities and employers increase calls for vaccine mandates, there's a rise in the requests for religious exemptions. But how is that determined? And when a pay raise can hurt a working family. Thursday on This Morning, America's First News. From 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM. Your station for news and talk.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. This is an interesting resource if you're interested in state policy and the interaction with federal policy, which this should be no surprise. This could be, our state lawmakers like to harp on the federal government justifiably for the strings attached, for the complicated rules that can be in everything from a tax bill to a federal bill on parks. Our lawmakers like to do the same thing. You're seeing it play out right now in cities trying to figure out what exactly the legislature intended with what was called the Endgame bill. This was the bill that basically said if we reach a certain threshold of low COVID-19 spread, then this and that happens, and if it goes back up, then this and that happens, and it has. So school districts, cities, counties, trying to figure out right now how to interpret what the legislature was actually up to, what they meant. So they're just as guilty of it, but it really is, to some extent, it's unavoidable because the federal government handles. And you can have an argument about whether they should or not, but the reality is the federal government oversees a lot of things. State governments do as well. And occasionally they butt heads in an unintended way. Occasionally they butt heads in an intentional way. And that I think is healthy. I think that's the usefulness of the 10th Amendment. And I'm so sick of the phrase laboratories of democracy. I don't think that really fits with what you see happening in states because it unfortunately tends to just be these days as ideological and partisan as what you see at the federal level. But it's healthy, I think, to have states and the federal government not constantly at odds with each other or at war with each other, but some healthy tension. Put it that way. And this is where it goes a little too far beyond healthy tension. So I've been excited about this. In Utah, laws have been passed, and many other states. I'm not sure the count, but I know there were some in Michigan, several in Arizona, and until one finally passed. Washington, D.C., of course, has one. These are laws that are meant to put some checks or even rein in what's known as civil asset forfeiture, police seizures. And, there are some anecdotal stories. There's some anecdotal evidence, I guess, of abuse. And then there are also more consistent concerns of how this type of thing is used. But the fact is, it's a tool for law enforcement to do the job that we ask them to do. And so I want to kind of couch this whole discussion under that. I know several of my libertarian friends, including Connor Boyack, founder of the Libertas Institute. I've had many discussions with them about civil asset forfeiture, and there are some that just believe the practice shouldn't happen at all. And I don't really agree with that. I think that there's a place for it. I think, like I say, it's a tool that can make everything from investigations to potential charges themselves more effective. Things can be done in a more effective way if seizing property is an option. But again, there are these stories of abuse. A couple driving through Idaho several years ago, $10,000 in cash on them, I think. This was a gift. I can't remember if it was for a wedding or what, but $10,000 in cash. Now, granted, not everyone travels, and you could argue it's not very smart to travel with $10,000 in cash. But during a traffic stop, officer decides this is drug money, and it took, I think, 3 years for them to get their money back. That's ridiculous. That shouldn't happen. So there's definitely room for reform. There's definitely room for more oversight. There's definitely room for some rules that say, an officer during a traffic stop can't just declare $10,000 in cash suspicious and seize it. I mean, there should have to be some better reason than that, right? Well, surprisingly, in many states, no. In many states, there doesn't have to be a better reason for seizing a person's property by law enforcement. So, understandably, states have been getting a lot of public pressure to curb some of this, to put some checks in the system, some oversight, and Utah's one of them. Unfortunately, a loophole in federal law is kind of putting the kibosh on all that. Pew Research is actually where I found this article, and I've linked to it on our Facebook page, but it starts out with this story. It says, over the past 3 years, Melissa Ingram, a 50-year-old Detroit resident, has had her 2017 Ford Fusion seized twice by the Wayne County Sheriff's offices. The officers claim that Ingram's ex-boyfriend, who had her car at the time of the seizures, was involved in illegal activity. So, boyfriend under suspicion or investigation by local sheriff's office for illegal activity, and he's driving her car. So her car's been seized twice now. Under Michigan's civil asset forfeiture law, which was retooled to provide some oversight and rein in police seizures, like Utah's has been, the police could seize and sell the car if they suspect it was involved in a crime. That was still allowed in the state. Even though Ingram, the owner of the car, hadn't been arrested for anything, not convicted or arrested or even under investigation outside of any information she may have had about her now ex-boyfriend's illegal activity. She told Pew Research when they interviewed her, they said they told me they observed him doing something with a prostitute, and I explained to them that it wasn't me driving the car. I just owned the car. All I wanted was my car back, and I had no way to get to and from work until I got it back. She works for Blue Cross Blue Shield in Michigan, by the way, and this situation just kept spiraling. So in February of 2020, she joined 2 other plaintiffs in a class action lawsuit against Wayne County for seizing the vehicle she owned, even though she was not charged or even at this point any longer involved or under investigation or even a material witness to a crime or an arrest, but couldn't get her vehicle back. So in this class action lawsuit, she and 2 other plaintiffs claimed that their vehicles, under civil asset forfeiture laws, they challenged the law, saying it's unconstitutional. And that's where this federal loophole pops up. So criminal justice advocates and legal experts are looking at this from a state law perspective. The reform push hasn't really come to the federal level yet. And I would bet this changes things a little bit. So 36 states and the District of Columbia have tried to scale this back. Have said in one way or another to say, there should be some simple rules or there should be some oversight. And those laws have passed, 36 states and the District of Columbia. Unfortunately, under federal law, the government doesn't have to prove that the owner of the property was involved in the illegal activity. That burden of proof is ridiculously low for any government prosecutor under federal law. So under federal law, it doesn't matter if the owner of a vehicle was not involved in a crime, not charged with anything, not convicted of anything. That vehicle is still considered legally seized property because of the crime. Now, in this case, again, it's someone lending their vehicle to then her boyfriend, now ex-boyfriend. In the other case, this one in Nevada, coming from another person involved in this class action lawsuit in Michigan, their story is in Nevada and involves less than $200 in cash in a vehicle that was worth less than $2,000 itself. Under Nevada law, anything less than $5,000 just disappears into the system. They don't even have to track it under Nevada law. So the vehicle worth less than $2,000, $200 in cash. In the end, no one charged. There was no crime. No one was convicted of anything. These people can't get their, admittedly, probably not in great shape vehicle, but a car they were driving, so obviously needed. And $200 in cash, I can't think of anyone I know that wouldn't miss that. They can't get it back. No one was charged with a crime. No one was convicted. But because Nevada state law says they don't really have to put a lot of effort into returning property less than $5,000 in value, it's just disappeared into the system. So you can understand why, I would join a class action lawsuit too. Maybe a couple. It's, again, federal law saying that there really doesn't have to be that level of what's called a standard of proof. Under federal law, it doesn't matter if the person who owns the property actually committed, was charged with, or convicted of a crime. Just that the property was seized in some sort of involvement with a crime is enough. And this is basically in court undermining all these state revamps, reforms, including Utah's. Now, this hasn't popped up in Utah yet that we know of, at least. I mean, there's no one from Utah a part of this suit or any suit. But it's an interesting development in the civil asset forfeiture reform movement, a bit of an oversight, if you'd say, where federal law basically allows them to get around these state laws that have been passed in, again, 36 states and the District of Columbia, including here in Utah. Check it out. I've linked to the Pew Research story on our Facebook page. I don't know where that little stutter came from. It's been a day. PewTrust.org.
The rain caused it.
Yeah, smoke in the air, something. I don't know. But the story is linked on our Facebook page from Pew Trusts. And incidentally, I reached out to a couple of lawmakers, just shot them emails and said, did you see this? Are you guys, some of the people who had worked on the civil asset forfeiture bill here in Utah, asked them if they'd seen this, if they were, maybe considering taking steps. Haven't gotten a reply yet, but just sent this about 2 hours ago. So we might be getting back to this one on tomorrow's show. But again, unfortunate. These are great reforms. They've been supported by law enforcement. And because of federal law, the 36 states and District of Columbia who have passed these reforms, well, might have wasted their time. Check it out. Link on our Facebook page, and we'll be back right after this.
Dr. Josh Red, chiropractic physician, explains how Red River Health and Wellness can help you.
A lot of our patients end up having autoimmune conditions. This is where their immune system, rather than attacking bacteria, a virus, or other bad things, it starts to attack their own tissue. This can cause so many different issues and symptoms throughout the whole body. The biggest thing for us at Red River is to identify what's causing the autoimmune response to flare up. This could be intestinal problems, blood sugar imbalances, cortisol defects, hormonal imbalances, along with something as simple as dietary triggers and environmental triggers. One of the most common causes, too, when you have an autoimmune condition is you'll have inflammation throughout the whole body. Not every patient will have the same imbalances or the same triggers, and so we have to customize a very personalized treatment plan in order for these patients to feel better.
Schedule your appointment today at 855-55-RIVER. Red River Health and Wellness with offices in Logan, South Jordan, Springville, and St. George.
Call Red River today.
Welcome to Everyone's Metal Store, home to tons of metal products for the DIYer or experienced pros. With a sales staff ready to assist with any type of metal question, Palmer's Metal Mart in Logan is your metal store, no matter the size of your project. With one of the state's best selections of metal products under one roof, you will love the price and selection at Metal Mart. For almost 30 years, for projects big or small, customers have found their home for metal products and extraordinary service to be at Metal Mart. No matter your knowledge of metal products, Metal Mart is here to serve. Give us a call or come into our store in Logan and see why we're everyone's metal store. If you need metal roofing, tubing or pipe, sheet metal, angle iron, purlins or rebar, call Palmer's Metal Mart today. When it comes to metal, just remember Palmer's Metal Mart, everyone's metal store. It's that simple. Visit us online at palmersmetalmart.com or in Logan, just east of the airport. Steel, service, and savings. See you soon.
Loveland Living Planet Aquarium takes us outside our everyday lives, into a world of discovery. It's a chance to explore our innate curiosity, discover animals from around the world, and experience the all-new outdoor plaza and eco. More to explore at Loveland Living Planet Aquarium. Reserve your visit at thelivingplanet.com.
Steel-coated floors of Cache Valley was voted Best of Northern Utah in the Remodeler Contractor category. They thank you for your vote. If you want to have a garage floor look amazing, contact Steel-Coated Floors. You'll love the results. Find them online at steelcoatedfloors.com.
Wrapping up the hour here on some super fun news from the Utah Department of Health just a few minutes ago. A few hours ago, sorry. Just before the show today, I caught some tweeting about this, so I've been picking through it during the breaks to see how they're doing this. Basically, the Utah Department of Health releasing a ranking of cities and counties throughout the state. A ranking of counties based on the COVID-19 transmission 14-day total case, the 14-day per 100,000 average, and the percentage of people vaccinated, and then building a ranking. Now, they're not doing this to shame certain areas, although that certainly is going to happen. They're doing this to understand where the problems are, where the problem areas are, where potential outbreaks are going to happen, where school districts are likely going to have to, as one in Mississippi just announced this afternoon, close for 2 weeks because of rapid spread. And unfortunately, combining these metrics, vaccination rate, number of cases in the last 14 days, and the 14-day rate per 100,000 residents, Cache County comes in 70th in the state. 70th cities in Cache County come in 70th in the state when ranked against other cities. That is mainly due to the fact that our vaccination rate is very low, 40% currently. Hiram here in Cache Valley, the worst, ranking 76th in the state with a 38%, and yet 25 new cases just in the last 14 days. So not good, not good. We'll talk more about this tomorrow because they also